And I want you to take a look at this. The Baton Rouge killer, Gavin Long, tweeting this on July 10th, quote, "Yes, the government is a hate group. They hate black people." He attributes this quote to my next guest, activist Jay Morrison. Jay, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Jay, how do you feel seeing your tweet associated with someone who gunned down all those police officers?
Well, definitely a confusing point at that point. Didn't even realize, and I probably did say it, can't remember when I said it, that particular quote. But, you know, there's plenty of tweets that he tweeted. There's plenty of information out there online, and it is what it is.
Well, when you say it is what it is, do you feel any not accountability for their deaths, but when you start saying that the government is a hate group and they hate black people, do you honestly believe the U.S. government, this current U.S. government hates black people?
Well, the current U.S. government system is of the same system and same structure that it's always been, and it's, we can call it mislike, we can call it antipathy, but regardless, there is a difference in how the government treats and addresses black people or Africans in America in the way they do other
Can you give me a couple
America.
Examples?
Sure, and I'm glad you asked that. It's a great alley-oop, I call it, right? I'm a slam dunk it. So if your audience, right, who are probably going crazy right now, this guy, said these things, the government hates black people. I want everyone to look up things like the war on drugs, which has targeted black people, mass incarceration, COINTELPRO. The FBI director, James Comey himself, and the New York head of police also said the origin of policing came from slave catching. We also can look at black codes, vagrancy tactics, the bombing in Tulsa, Oklahoma, the bombing in Philly of the Moo family, all done by the U.S. government towards African people in America.
So you would say arresting people and keeping law and order is anti-black? By saying that, are you saying that black people inherently are the ones committing the crimes?
No, what I'm saying is that having a system, a structure in place, right, from the post-freedom or enslavement of black people, and where a system was created called the convict leasing system by our government, and where the same year that slaves were free, they created laws called vagrancy tactics that made it illegal for blacks to be homeless and would lock blacks up and put them in a convict leasing system.
But see, here's the thing. I hear what you're talking about with respect to America's history.
Right.
The
same practices are happening today.
Well, I see homeless people all over the place, but I still don't see where you're justifying your current anger toward America or the American government. I can see you being upset about what may have happened in the past, but you cannot say it's occurring. Of course it's changed. The fact that you're in this studio right now talking the way you are is the best proof in the world that it's changed.
The fact that the 13th Amendment still says slavery was abolished except you commit a crime says that things are still the same. And when you have inmates working in prison, majority of whom are Africans in America, who are making 20 and 30 cents a day.
Jay, why are the majority of people in prison of African descent?
Because the African people in America were never repaired after their enslavement, after their Jim Crow, after the government redlined them, after the government never gave any restitution for the Holocaust enslavement of African people. So if you don't repair a people or you put them in ghettos, and you put them poor and uneducated in ghettos, you're going to get that kind of activity.
You know, it's interesting when we have this conversation, sometimes I drive home on the West Side Highway. It's a little cluttered, so I'll take the slow route. And I drive through some of my old neighborhoods that I lived in throughout Harlem. And I see them now, and they're becoming what they call gentrified. So it's the same neighborhood, the same buildings, but less graffiti, less garbage on the street. So what makes a ghetto? Not the buildings, not the neighborhood, right?
Correct.
Right. So the way people treat the buildings in the neighborhood makes it a ghetto. Who can you blame that on other than the person in the mirror?
There's two accountabilities. There is self-accountability for Africans in America, that we have to repair ourselves because of the trauma that we suffered. But I liken it to if you take someone who was kidnapped, right, or a woman or a man who was molested for several years, and then they're pushed out of the house that they were molested in, and then they go out in the streets and they're promiscuous. You blame them for being promiscuous, but you don't blame the person who caused the trauma.
Yeah, it's a stretch.
See, it's not a stretch.
It's a stretch.
Was there or was there not? So if there was never trauma for this kind of treatment, right? I'm talking about the human rights violations of Africans.
We're talking about the individual, not the history. One thing, I got to tell you something.
They come together, King.
They don't.
They come together. If they did, if there wasn't a need for repair of people, then the Japanese Americans wouldn't have been repaired or had restitution after their 2 years internment camps in America. Or the Jewish Germans wouldn't have gotten repair or
reparation. Are you saying all it would take in your mind then is some sort of restitution check from the government?
I didn't say check.
No, well, you're saying some sort of restitution.
repair aid, restoration.
Let me tell you
it
something.
Starts with
there are no black people in America right now who were ever slaves. Not a single one.
Right.
There are no white people in America at this point who were ever slave owners.
Correct.
Okay.
But is there not residual effects of that?
The overwhelming majority.
Are there no residual effects of that?
Not for the average person on either side.
Is there no
not for the average person for the either
How
side.
How do black people get into the ghettos you talked about?
You have to escape
Did the government
yourself.
not redline black people, put red lines on the map? Google it if you don't know, King. The government put black people into ghettos through redlining. That created it.
Jay.
Is that right or wrong?
Ultimately, we are at a point right now.
Did the government not create COINTELPRO? A government program that broke up civil rights leaders and assassinated our people. Did the government not do that?
Jay, hold on.